Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
You are once again welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that serves you the best. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like and also share to others to view. Thank you. Finally, Sammy Gyamfi has also come out to educate Ghanaians on the 24 hours policy and how it's going to help improve jobs. Let's listen to what he has said about the 24 hours economy and how the president of Ghana Hotel Association has also endorsed it. Thank you.
We'll be taking a look at it and more right here on The Probe. We are looking at the 24-hour economy, and the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sammy Gyamfi, is with me in the studios. Thank you so much for joining us on The Probe. Been a while. This whole year, I think we haven't been on The Probe, have we?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken on other platforms.
Yes, of course we have. Well, good to have you in the studios once again. Everything okay? We should relax and start.
We have hope that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is coming to rescue us and to address the hydra-headed challenges confronting the people of this country with many policies and programs, such as the 24-hour economy we are about to discuss. So that alone gives us hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel and that Ghana can be restored back on the path of true development and progress with the right leadership.
I see a number of paraphernalia out there on 24-hour economy. Well, we'll be delving into some of these issues and more. But before then, this week, or is it last week, you held a press conference, at least a moment of truth, and we're tackling the issue about the LI that was supposed to be tabled in Parliament. Just after that, you were hoping to go on a protest and asking Ghanaians to do so. There was a withdrawal of that particular LI, that announcement that was made by the Information Minister, and they add that they are a listening government. Reason why they've done that?
Well, it's good that the advocacy that was championed by the Minority Caucus led by the Honorable Dr. Ato Forson and the National Democratic Congress as a party has yielded results. I must say that we're not alone in this struggle at all, but we had other key stakeholders like the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, FABAC, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and other stakeholders who spoke up against this regressive, law, which has the potential to collapse a lot of businesses in this country. A bad law that has the tendency to breed corruption and cronyism. We held that press conference, like you said, a moment of truth press conference, thanks to multimedia, despite media and other media organizations. It was broadcast live to Ghanaians all across the globe and in fact to the world. And we're not surprised at all that government felt the heat and decided to beat a retreat. That is the right thing to do. They should not have introduced this LI in Parliament in the first place. And it is our hope that they will completely abandon this idea, engage industry players more extensively, and come up with proper, solutions to the issues confronting us relative to the instability of the exchange rate and the need for us.
Well, it turns out our agreement with the IMF would not even allow us to have such a law.
That's a point we highlighted during the press conference. Many didn't know about that, but we took the pains to research and put that information out. Initially, they wanted to deny, but eventually the IMF's attention was drawn to this because of the sunlight we have shed on the matter, and the necessary directives have been given. But I'm not even looking at it from the standpoint of the IMF. I'm looking at the many businesses, many companies who import the affected 24 products like rice, like sugar, like clothing and apparels, vehicles, and so on and so forth, who were going to be made to pay fees for licenses, license renewal, and their fate, their destinies, the future of their businesses was going to be determined by an all-powerful minister who was being clothed with excessive discretionary powers by this law to determine who to issue a license and who not to issue a license, which license to revoke at any time. All he has to do is to give a reason, you know, and even to do what is called quantitative restriction of certain imports into the country. That was going to be a recipe for chaos. It was going to be a recipe for corruption, cronyism, and state capture. And we are happy that our struggle has the other results, but we need to be vigilant because we know these people.
So is it in its entirety, or you would want them to engage further and bring it back?
We want them to engage further and come up with more strategic and innovative ideas as to how we can support indigenous companies, because there is the need for us to protect local companies. That is a view that we all share. The how is a problem. We were of the opinion that this particular law was not the right approach of achieving that, and the law was rather going to create a problem, a bigger problem of corruption, based on the history of this country. And I think we adduce all the necessary facts to support our argument, such that any discerning mind, any objective mind who listened to that press conference, we are sure came to the conclusion that this law was bad for Ghana. So we're happy. And it shows the power we have as a people. Many a times people look down on, you know, press conferences and various advocacies and actions aimed at bringing pressure to bear on the government to stop a particular course of action or to do something. But this is yet another evidence that if we come together as a people and we speak up against the rots in the system, the ills of government, we can get change even before the 7th of December.
And don't forget these words, because they will definitely come back at some point.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Well, but let's talk about 24-hour economy. Speaking of businesses and the economy, this was an idea that was mooted. At least we had the former president during his Building Ghana tour, and it came up, and subsequently some details are trickling in. The concern is we don't have all the full details when it comes to this particular proposal. But let's talk about 24-hour economy. From where you sit, what exactly is it going to entail?
Okay, so when we say 24-hour economy, we are talking about a deliberate intervention by the next NDC Mahama government to create an enabling environment that will encourage and support certain public institutions, businesses and companies to operate round the clock 24/7. That is what it's about. It is not going to be a chance event. We are not going to say that any business which thinks that operating 24/7 will be profitable is free to do so, so you're on your own. This is going to be a deliberate intervention by the government to create the enabling environment that will make it possible for a lot more companies, businesses, and public institutions to operate round the clock. And as President Mahama indicated in the tape you just played, this is not a mere political rhetoric. It's important to make that point. Neither is it a mere slogan calculated for votes. It is a well thought through strategy which has its roots in the 40-year development plan which was put together under the ex-Wal NDC Mahama government and published in 2018, I believe. It was captured in our 2020 manifesto, specifically on page 105. So this is not something that we just
How come premium was not put on it at that time?
Well, maybe the time for that idea had not come. A wise man once said that nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. I believe that the 24-hour economy is an idea whose time has come. We spoke about it back then, but it didn't gain much traction as we are experiencing now. So I needed to make that point so that those watching us or listening to us will know that this is not just a mere rhetoric like Ghana Beyond Aid and so on. This is a well thought through policy. If you check the 40-year development plan, it is there. If you check page 105 of our 2020 manifesto, it is there. And is a product of extensive consultations and engagement with various stakeholders that this is the direction the country must go.
Well,
now, it's also important, MFA, to make the point that the 24-hour economy is not an end in itself. It is a strategy to achieve an end. It is a strategy to achieve a certain objective. What is that objective? That objective is the overarching vision of the nation builder, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to transform Ghana from an import-dependent country into a self-sufficient and export-led economy. That is the overarching vision of this 24-hour economy. The 24-hour economy strategy will be the main driver of this strategy. And so the rationale is simple. We are saying that for us to see true transformation that deliver prosperity for all, true economic transformation that delivers decent, well-paying jobs for the people of this country, we need to invest in the productive sectors of the economy with the aim of achieving self-sufficiency and achieving an export-led economy. And that is why President Mahama has said that to achieve this, we are going to prioritize agribusinesses and agro-processing. We're going to prioritize modernization and mechanization of agriculture. We're going to prioritize manufacturing and value addition. We're going to prioritize, the provision of the necessary incentives for the private sector to thrive, for them to play their role in this economy. But we are saying that after all is said and done, after we roll out all these policies, we will still not be able to achieve our intended objective if we run the traditional 8-hour work system, because 8 hours is wholly inadequate for us to attain the needed level of efficiency and productivity and growth we need to create sustainable jobs and prosperity for the people of this country. God has given us 24 hours. Why do we have to waste 16 hours and only work 8 hours when all the advanced economies operate various degrees of 24-hour economies? And so what we are saying is that under this overarching vision of transforming Ghana into a self-sufficient and export-led economy, all the interventions, policies we are going to roll out must lead to a situation where businesses, companies, and certain public services run 24/7.
Okay, so the issues about
productivity.
We'll get into the details because there are a lot of questions that need answers. The issues about the infrastructure, the security, issues about safety, all those issues have come up. But first clarify for me, once you start rolling it out, will it be nationwide or you're starting with specific cities or capitals or regions before it starts, or it's nationwide?
It's going to be a nationwide policy. It's going to be a nationwide policy, and that will be clearly contained in the comprehensive blueprint of the policy that we will be putting out, as President Mahama has indicated. You see, there are specific, I started off by telling you that this is going to be a specific,
nationwide. The concern is about the demands, for instance. Other countries that we are copying are not going nationwide. Okay.
Because first of all, we must understand what government intends to do to make the 24-hour economy a reality. If you understand that, then you would agree with me that there cannot be any geographical restriction to the.
So what do you intend to do to achieve that nationwide 24-hour economy?
Is to create an atmosphere of security and safety. And President Mahama has said that not only will we, create this atmosphere of security and safety with our state security agencies, but we are going to have a well-regulated and monitored private security architecture, which is going to ensure round-the-clock operations of businesses in a very safe environment. So security and safety is number one on the agenda.
We're not going to empower the current existing state security that we have.
That will be the starting point. But private security arrangements are also very key. And I can expatiate on that, but let me just outline for you the specific incentives, measures that the next NDC Mahama government will put in place to make the 24-hour economy possible. So, an atmosphere of security and safety. The second one has to do with the provision of reliable and cheaper power.
Okay.
If you check the overhead cost of businesses and companies in this country, one of the key items affecting them, one of the key items that doesn't make them competitive, one of the key items that increases their cost of production is the high cost of electricity. You understand? And so President Mahama is saying that all participating companies in the 24-hour economy policy will be given smart meters, which will be calibrated to charge lesser tariffs during non-peak hours during the night, based on the time of use tariff system. A time of use tariff system is simply a tariff system that makes you pay for power based on the day of the week and the time of the day you're consuming that power. And so instead of allowing the power which is produced in the night to go idle, for us to complain about excess capacity and capacity charges and so on, let us have a deliberate policy that encourages businesses and companies to operate 24/7 in the night, and during these periods, let them, through a time of use tariff system, pay a relatively lower tariff, so that at least we get something for the power which otherwise would have lied idle. That's the second point. The third one has to do with what President Mahama has described as favorable tax policies, particularly significant tax incentives aimed at reducing the cost of operation of businesses and to ensure that they stay competitive. The tax burden, every government needs taxes to operate. We are not going to say that we will not introduce taxes. But the point is that most of the taxes that we have imposed on businesses and companies in this country are regressive and counterproductive. That has to be improved. And we need to create a congenial atmosphere with favorable tax policies that reduces the cost of production of businesses which will be participating in the 24-hour economy.
Which you've said is voluntary.
Okay. And then finally has to do with the provision of financing support. Very important. President Mahama has spoken about it. Financing support for certain strategic agro-processing and manufacturing companies. You take certain, imports that if addressed, if cut significantly, can significantly impact on our GDP and create jobs, like rice. Look at the amount of money we spend on importing rice. You need to channel strategic financing in that sector to boost production. It is for that reason that the ex-Wal NDC Mahama government, for example, established the Ghana Exim Bank, the Ghana Export and Import Bank, to provide financing for exports. Today, that fund, which we established, has lost its bearing. It's been completely bastardized. They have deviated from their core objects. And the next NDC Mahama government will ensure that we bring them back on track and ensure that we channel funds like that, not just that, but other funds that exist.
So the
like
issues about the
that.
costs and the number of jobs we are hoping to create in that sector, because I've heard even Mr. Alabi today also mentioned up north that they are hoping to create jobs as a result of this 24-hour economy. Not just jobs, but I'm hoping we'll get the fine details.
Sustainable jobs.
You're saying.
Exactly.
Okay, so the fine details as to how much it's going to cost us as a nation to start implementing this, and then also the number of jobs that we are hoping to create out.
So at least I've given you four things.
Of course,
four things that we'll be doing. But let me add the last one. Let me add the last one. President Mahama has spoken about improvement of infrastructure, security, and lighting in key entertainment districts such as Abekala Pass, the Oxford Street in Osu, the Lagos Avenue in East Legon, and so on, to create that booming night economy experience that allows businesses to thrive. When you come back to me, I will be telling you
shortly.
specific
I mean, let me go on to Zoom as well, and then we'll take questions from our audience as well, which will inform what else you tell us. But we've been joined on the phone by Zoom, the economist, Professor Ebo Texin. I'm told we've lost him. Sechu Makwabwa is Executive Secretary of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI. We also have on Zoom Mr. Edward Akanyamike, who is the Ghana Hotel Association President. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We also have Mona Kote, who's a former Deputy Finance Minister, also joining us via Zoom for quick inputs on this, and then it can inform how we go forward. Maybe I'll start with you, Mr. Chumakwabwa. Really, you are the manufacturers. You've heard some of the fine details that have been provided, at least security and safety issues about reliable power and cheaper power will be provided, favorable tax policies, provision of financing support, as well issues about infrastructure, he says, will be also dealt with. But really, from where you stand, we've been told that to an extent, we are already operating a 24-hour economy. Really, what's your input when it comes to this whole issue about the 24-hour economy, Mr. Chumakwabwa?
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. Indeed, I'm happy Sammy has mentioned quite a couple of things that is being added to the 24-hour economy discussion. All along, what we heard was more of the number of hours and the fact that you can run shifts and do the 24 hours. That's all we're hearing. But today I'm hearing some other elements that makes it more exciting. For us, the idea of 24-hour economy, for us as businesses, anything that helps to produce more, anything that helps to increase volumes of business, we cherish it, we welcome it. And therefore, if somebody is coming out with a concept that says I will enable you to produce more, it definitely is an interesting concept to look at. But we have cautioned that when it comes to 24-hour production system, for industry, it is already happening in a number of the businesses. But it is driven by order. It is driven by volume of business. If you don't have the volume of business to produce 24 hours, you wouldn't do so. If you have business, you have orders that you cannot satisfy within 8 hours, you run shifts. And indeed, a lot of companies run shifts. Sometimes they do 2 shifts, sometimes they do 3 shifts. But depending on the state of the economy and the demand for their products, then they may decide to cut down. Sometimes they even go to the extent of even doing less than the 8 hours, let alone increasing 15 and 24 hours. So it's all driven by demand. If it's driven by demand, then it means that any condition that helps to increase your demand will welcome you to push yourself to the running shifts, different shifts to meet that order. So that is basically the principle when it comes to business. So when the idea came up, we said, okay, we will need better particulars, we need more information, we need a comprehensive information about how this whole concept is going to run before we can make a significant pronouncement. But what Sammy has also mentioned, which I think is important, is that they are not saying that it is an end in itself. It's a means to an end. It's a way to facilitate activities to achieve your objective. So as far as you see it in that context, then it's fine. And it means that other things must be at play for it to work well. And he's mentioned a couple of them, the tax incentives, financing, provision of financial support, infrastructure, and all that. So if all these detail comes, then we would see it as a good program. So it's not just the number of hours you are working, which is being emphasized, but all these other details. But as far as these other details are concerned, it's very difficult to make a judgment now, because we've heard, in different times, different periods, different regimes, promises of financial support, promise of tax incentives. Sometimes it becomes a different thing when you are faced with the reality. So many things happen in the economy. And therefore, for us, it's very difficult to make a judgment or make a pronouncement on this. Perhaps if you get the details, if you say taxes, what kind of tax incentives are you talking about? How does it impact on manufacturing and industry? If you say financial support, what we need is medium to long term. Are we going to get it? Are we going to scratch the surface, or are we going to get, a better financing arrangement? At what cost is the funds coming to us? All these details we need to know. And when we get it, then that's fine. Then it will mean that the 24-hour economy encompasses a lot more. And when you put it together, then that may sound very good to us. For now, all we say is that we need further information. We need to engage further, and then we'll see how it will benefit industry.
Okay. Mr. Chumakwabwa, thank you very much for your input. At this point, we would have to just let you go on this, and then we'll take Mr. Edward Nyameke also on it, the Hoteliers Association. Also, he's the president, and all this giving you some input into the show, and also ask your questions as well. Mr. Nyameke, thank you so much also for joining us. If you can unmute, really, 24-hour economy, we are told that some hotels are already operating amongst others, but what would you need to make it definite in terms of what you've heard so far? That's good news, isn't it?
Right. MFA, thank you so much for the opportunity. You are very right. By the nature of the hotel business, we work around the clock 24/7 because we need to check in and check out guests depending on their reservations and their bookings. So I would like to rather look at the possible impacts of the 24-hour economy on the hotel business. First of all, I see that it's likely to increase patronage from the angle that if there is more employment, that means that more people will have money, they will have disposable income to be able to patronize hotel services.
Okay.
And then also the increase in business from the 24-hour economy also means that we are likely to have more international visitors to do business in the country. And of course, when they come here, they are likely to patronize hotel services. We also want to look at it from the angle where the more people are employed, the more they pay taxes, the more they pay levies to government, and we are likely to see an improvement in our infrastructure, including roads, which is very important to the hotel business. Again, with increased patronage, it means that the hotels are likely to expand their business. They are likely to expand their facilities, which also mean that they are also going to employ more workers. Okay, so look at it from that angle, it will mean that it's going to be a positive impact on the hotel industry. But as my brother said earlier on, we'll have to look at the incentives aspect, the taxes that they say they provide incentives for the industry. That's very, very important, and especially also with affordable utilities, because as Sammy himself mentioned, it is a major issue in our business. So if the utilities regime in terms of the tariffs level does not change to make a positive impact on the industry, then we will still be at the same place. So on the surface, frankly, a 24-hour economy will impact positively on the hotel industry, and we will take advantage of that.
Okay, Dr. Kanyamike Jr., we're grateful for your time here on the probe. So at least you've heard the AGI, you've also heard the hotels, Ghana Hotels Association. Really, it's a laudable idea, but details in terms of what exactly the tax policies will entail, amongst others.
Very insightful perspectives, and we are most grateful to them for their contributions. We don't claim to be the repository of all knowledge, and so we take on board all these perspectives in the finalization and implementation of the policy when we are giving the nod in 2024, December 7th. But let me deal with just 4 issues. The first one being the argument that we already have a 24-hour economy. That
some sectors, some sectors.
Yeah. You see, we are not talking about the fact that the next NDC government, under the next NDC government, companies will operate 24/7. If we said that, then that will not be novel. That will not be new. If we said that under the next NDC Mahama government, companies will operate 24/7, that will not be new, because some companies already operate 24/7. What we are talking about is that under the next NDC Mahama government, there will be a deliberate policy intervention to ensure that businesses operate 24/7. We are going to have a 24-hour economy strategy, simply put, as a country. That is novel, that is new. Because as we speak, Ghana does not have a 24-hour economy strategy like the United Kingdom has.
We thank you for watching, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to keep you updated. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.